So how much will Artifact cost to play? Well, it's worth pointing out that it's worth defining what cost to play means. So like, what does it mean to play Artifact? Well, I say that because in most card games you play constructed, right? You play with decks that you've pre-built before the match, and you play against each other with those decks, right? It's just how card games work. But in Artifact, first of all, there's gonna be a free mode where you can play constructed decks against someone else with those pre-constructed decks, and you don't need any cards to play it. It's just six pre-constructed decks by Valve that you can play against each other, so you can play for free at the start. But also, the main mode that this game will be played in is draft mode rather than constructed as is with most card games, because in draft mode what you do is you open 5 packs of cards, and from those five packs of cards you build a deck, and in these packs you might get good heroes but you might get bad heroes as well. So it's like you have to adapt to the situation and you have to make the best of what you have. So in my opinion, draft mode might even be more fun than constructed. At the start, very likely so, because with a limited set of cards, constructed will not be as good as it will be in like 2 years, let's say, when they've released expansions. Um, so for now, draft I think will be really fun and will be the best game mode to play. Um, Moreover, draft will is good for learning the game. It's much better for learning the game than constructed, because it sort of forces you to go out of your comfort zone, and it like sometimes it will force you to play a color that you don't usually play. Sometimes it will force you to pick a hero that you don't like, and it forces you to learn cards, how to play cards that you don't usually play, that are not very good. It teaches you how to play heroes that you don't usually play, and it teaches you how to play against those things as well. And draft, more so than constructed, focuses on the board control aspect of the game and like the very basics of the game, right? So that's board control, that is lane distribution, and like lane deployment of heroes, and it teaches you the basics from the get-go. So I suggest playing the free draft mode, and also there is a free draft mode, but you can't win any prizes from that. There's also a paid draft mode where you pay to enter the draft, and then you could win prizes if you do well. And I suggest, not only for the chance of winning, but that you play paid draft mode, because in free draft mode, very often people might draft a deck and then they might not like the deck, and because it's just free draft, they haven't paid anything. They might just be like, "Oh, fuck this shit, I'm not gonna play this deck. I don't like it. I'll just wait another hour till my draft resets and I'll draft another deck, and I'll play that deck instead," which means that in draft there'll be more people with an average with better decks, right? The average deck will be better. So um that means that like maybe your playing experience might be a bit worse, because you're playing against better decks, and that might be a bit annoying. So for that reason, I suggest that you play on paid draft. There's also this thing called keeper draft, where um like draft works in like, you don't just open one pack. You open like a pack of 12 cards, then you pick two cards, then you get a pack of 10 cards, you pick two cards, a pack of 8, then you pick two cards, and so on and so forth. So really, in keepers draft, doing of these cards that you pick two each. So like you're picking two cards each, right? And you keep doing that, and whenever you pick these 60 cards in the end, you get to keep all of those cards. So I suggest that you sorry, it was annoying me. Oh, I have to do. Okay, whatever. So I suggest that you play keepers draft to open your 5 packs rather than just opening them normally, because you will be able to choose the best heroes out of each pack, and um you'll get better cards doing it that way. But do that only after you know how to play draft, because you wanna also get the rewards from keepers draft. So unlike in most cases, and unlike you probably would do if I didn't tell you anything, don't open your packs right away. play the free draft without opening your packs, get an idea for the game, get a feel for the game, like learn the cards to some extent, play like 4 drafts or something like that, and then play a keeper's draft with your 5 packs. Well, 10 packs actually. Play 2 keepers drafts with your 10 packs and open them that way. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say before the main part of the video. And the main part of the video will be, if you don't want to play draft, you want to play constructed, and this video will tell you how much a constructed deck will cost you. This is a top of the meta deck. This is like one of the best decks in the game. So this is what we're calculating, and we'll start off with the heroes. So Axe, they couldn't have written it any bigger. Um, but Axe is a rare hero. Legion Commander is an uncommon hero. Common, common, common. So Axe will be more expensive than all the other cards because it's a hero and it's rare. Or even though this card is also a rare, it's not a hero. A hero, beyond just being a hero, adds 3 cards to your main deck. So these 3 cards, whenever you play the hero, you must play these 3 cards as well. And these 3 cards come for free when you open the hero. Um, and also, the hero itself is more valuable than even something like Time of Triumph, which is your finisher. Because a hero is 20% of your heroes, and the regular card is just 2.5% of your overall main deck. Right, okay, so with that being said, Axe, the most expensive one, will be about £15, right? £15. Um, Legion Commander will be about £4 to £5. So let's write something like 4.5. Phantom Assassin Bristleback Bounty. So you're thinking, okay, so £15, £5, maybe these are like £1 to £2. No, these cards will be very oversaturated because look at this. So over, let's say 10 packs, you will open an average of 6.33 common heroes, which is 61% of the overall collection of common heroes. So if everyone's gonna open 61% of them, and some people of like on average, I'd say people will buy 10 extra packs within the first 2 weeks. So that goes up to 93% now, and so you can see how it's getting very overly saturated. So on the market there will be loads of them, and this will bring the price down to something like 30 to 50p. So let's count these 3 as like maybe £1 to £1.50. Let's just say £1.25. I'm getting overly specific. Let's just call it 150. Who cares about 20p, right? Okay, so that's the heroes accounted for, and naturally this accounts for all of their cards as well. So we don't need to worry about those. Next thing, so the Vesture of the Tyrant and Horn of the Alpha. These these are the only rare. Actually, let's talk about Blink Dagger quickly. So Blink Dagger, it doesn't say on the picture of the card here because it's an old picture before the card was fully released. I don't know why they haven't updated it. But the effect of this card, in addition to giving the hero +2 attacks, is that it gives it an ability every other turn. So like it has a cooldown of 2. Every other turn you can move the equipped hero to another lane, and this is by far the best item card in the game. And the question is not whether you run it or don't run it. The question is whether you want 2 or 3 copies. And in this deck, you run 3 copies. Um, and this card, usually an uncommon item would cost about 60, 70p, I'd imagine. But this one, because it's so good, let's just say it costs like £1. And you need 3 of them, so that's £3. Um, Next, we have the Vesture of the Tyrants and Vesture of the Tyrant and Horn of the Alpha. These cards are going to be more expensive. By the way, Stonehold Cloak is not going to be that expensive, so I'm not going to account for it right now. I'll account for all the commons at once, like when I'm finished with everything else. So Vesture of the Tyrant and Horn of the Alpha. These are rares, and they're going to be a bit more expensive. I'd say about £3 each. However, Vesture of the Tyrant. So let's look at the items. So so the sources in gold cost in order of gold cost, and all the items cost like more than 19 gold or 19 gold are rares, right? And the items that cost less than that, they're not as impactful, right? So like this one doesn't do anything flashy, does it? It just like gives you armor and it modifies the others with the other heroes' minus two attack. So you kind of just like prevent damage. Plate mail, you prevent damage. Hero's cape, you prevent damage, etc. It doesn't do anything proactive. On the other hand, Vesture of the Tyrant does. Well, it doesn't, but it gives you rapid deployment, which sure, it's not something proactive on the same turn you play it, but rapid deployment means that rather than your heroes having to stay dead for one turn, rapid deployment means that they done. Rapid deployment means that they can come back on the next turn right away. So it does something proactively in some sense. And also your tower has +3 armor, which is so fucking good. It's insane because that means so free armor is like a constant reduction to damage, and that reduces damage to your tower by so much. Um, this card is really good, so you run it. And Horn of the Alpha is also needed in the deck to act as like some sort of finisher. Every other turn you get to summon a 14/14 minion, which like does a lot of damage, right? And also, I want to talk about this card here quickly, Helm of the Dominate. So these two cards are the two best cards, like the two best expensive items. Vesture of the Tyrant and Horn of the Alpha. Helm of the Dominator is just like a tier below them. It's still a really good card, and it's probably like the third best card out of these. Um, but it's just a tier below Vesture of the Tyrant. So, um, let's say that like running Vesture of the Tyrant over Helm of the Dominator is slight optimizations. So let's say you decide not to spend the money on Vesture of the Tyrant and instead buy Helm of the Dominator. That will only be like 60p, like 60, 50, 60p, something like that. Let's call it 60p. So it's 60p for two copies. So two copies is like 120, and then a Horn of the Alpha will be like £3, right? Uh, I'd say a rare item will be about £3. So, and even maybe you unpack one Vesture of the Tyrant or one Horn of the Alpha, that's actually quite likely. So, if you unpack a Vesture of the Tyrant or even what's it called? Just forgot its name, Helm of the Dominator. If you unpack one of those cards, you only need to buy like one other copy of Vesture of the Tyrant. So let's just say that you've unpacked that one of these things has happened because it's very likely to, and it will only cost you about 50p. So as your items accounted for, now let's look at the Time of Triumph. So this card is a finisher. It, you either run two of them or three of them. Very highly suggest that you run three of them, but you can get away with running two. So let's assume that you either did not unpack a Time of Triumph and you want to only run two, or you unpack the Time of Triumph and you only need to buy two more. So that will be £3 each, so about £6. Right, and by the way, all of these are guesses. If I haven't said so, not guesses, estimates, guesstimates. Um, all of these are estimates, so don't take it with a grain of salt. But I'm fairly confident in what I'm saying. I'm fairly sure that this is like fairly accurate, right? So okay, so that's time of triumph accounted for, and now let's look at the uncommon. So I'd say there will be about 50p per card. So there's three, six, nine of them, so that's about £4.50. Let's call it £5 and be slightly pessimistic. And here we've only got the commons left. We've got Bronze Legionnaire, so that's 3, 5, uh, 8, 10, 13, and the Stonehold Cloak 16. So that's 16 times about. I'd say there will be minimum market price. There will only be like 3p, 4p, because as you can see here, if you open 20 packs, you already get more than the whole collection of 3 copies of each card. So, um, what? How did I calculate it wrong? Oh no, because oh right, okay, yeah. So I forgot to say in the game you also get basic decks, which are basically full of commons. They're not really that good of decks. You just get free commons when you buy the game besides the packs. So that's so with these 50 commons, in addition to like if you open 20 packs, you get more than the overall collection uh with 3 max copies of each of the common cards. So because there's so many of those, I think they will all be like 5p, something like that. So how many did we say? 16 cards times 5p, that's like um about 80p. Let's call it £1 and be like slightly pessimistic again. So this is the overall calculation for the price, and let's add everything up. So we have 15, 1950, 21, 24, 24.50, 27.50, 43.50, 48.50, 49.50. So about £40. And that seems like a lot, doesn't it? But two things you've got to keep in mind. First of all, this deck is one of the best decks, and second of all, you you can use these cards in other decks as well. Many of these cards will be used in other decks. So like in a game like Hearthstone, you've got 9 classes, and in these classes, you pick mage and you can only use the mage cards. The hunter cards, for example, are useless. In this in like in this game, you can make a four color deck where you can use your whole collection. You can make a blue black deck, which is a control deck, and you still use some of these cards, right? So you're paying £40, but you're also building up your collection overall. And for a lot of those £40, you have already unpacked some of these cards. So when you account for that, it's more realistically like £35. And also, final thing, um, you can take Axe out. So, for example, because Axe is such a big portion of the price, if we take him out, this becomes £25, and I'll show you a deck here that I've made that it's not exactly the same deck with just another red hero instead of Axe. If you cut Axe, you probably want to play 3 black heroes because these are the 3 best red heroes. Like, these two are the best, then Bristleback is a step down, and then from Bristleback, there's like another step down to get another red hero. So it's better to play 3 black heroes if you decide to cut Axe. So I've decided to play Sniper instead of Axe. And yes, Sniper has a much smaller body, but in terms of removal, it offers discard Assassinate, which deals 10 damage to a unit in any lane. And so like it kind of makes up for the smaller body. And rather than using big bodies, you're kind of removing things with like Assassinate, right? So instead of with Axe. And this deck, anyways, has a lot of big bodies. Anyways, Bristleback, Phantom Assassin, Legion Commander, Bounty Hunter is alright, but like these three are like the 3 big bodies. And Bounty Hunter is a pretty respectable body as well. So it's not that big of a deal that you're losing a big body. And also I made a few other changes because I'm running 2 red heroes and 3 black heroes. I removed some red cards and added some black cards like Iron Fog or Goldmine. I added yeah, that was it actually. I just added 3 copies of Iron Fog Goldmine instead of let me see, Smash Their Defenses. So I took Smash Their Defenses out and I added Iron Fog Goldmine. And you can make a few more changes to the deck, but I'm not gonna talk about it because that's not what this video is for. And finally, I just want to show you a quick table here. Um, so this is a table of the constructed. So take the constructed rating of all the cards. So take the constructed rating of all heroes, all common heroes, right? 7 of them have so 7 common heroes have a rating of 4, 4.5, or 5, so bigger than 3.9. And if I change that to 4.4, for example, that will only be a rating of 4.5 or 5. And as you can see, the table kind of adjusted. So there's 7 common heroes that are above a 4.5 rating, and there's only 3 rares and 4 uncommons. So that's a very good sign because it means that the rarity does not determine quality of the card. And as you can see here, this is compared to the overall collection of common heroes. This is the overall set of common heroes, overall set of uncommon heroes, overall set of rare heroes. The 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 good rare heroes make up a much lower percentage compared to these two. So that's a really good sign for the game. And that's not only heroes, that's all cards overall. So that's a very good sign for the game. And it means that cards will not necessarily be the rare cards will be better. That's not necessarily the case. So this game is going to be really cheap to play. I definitely suggest playing it and checking it out. Um, and yeah, I think I've said the only or that I think I've said all that there is to be said, and I think I'm rambling at this point, so I'm just gonna end the video here.